guys, it's Jess with Ensemble. I want to show you a few tips on how to use your clip-ins. If you're struggling with placement or making them stay, then these probably will help. So I'm going to show you how I put in, these are my 4-inch wefts and then some singles. So my biggest tip by far for everyone is make sure you're doing a really clean section. What I see a lot of people do is they'll just kind of grab their hair and lift it up and place it. I even grabbed a better section than what I've seen. So it's in your best interest to section with your nail, with a comb, whatever it is, to make a good clean part line. Clip it out of the way. The next tip is that you want to start combing right at the part line and then lock it in. When I see people go like this and just place it, it's already slipping. It's not in the strongest spot on your hair. I would start higher up and touch the comb to your part line, then comb down before you clip it in. So I'm gonna show you a few tips if your hair is really silky and doesn't grab onto the clip super well. This is one option. So when in doubt, go perpendicular before you go diagonal. So clip one in, hold it with your finger, pull it kind of tight, but not, you wanna be putting your finger on the front part so you're not causing tension when you're pulling it. But if you clip on a section and it already has some slack, it's just not gonna be as secure. You're probably gonna catch it when you're running your fingers through your hair or you're brushing it later. So we want to get it a good clean line. You can also still place these at a diagonal. So you don't have to put them perpendicular, horizontal like this, but I just recommend it if you're already struggling with placing them. Number 2, should I say 2.5? I think I already said 2. If that is a struggle, then I would recommend using a comb, doing just a little bit of teasing. This is usually for people with really fine hair, really fine texture. I have, my strands are really thin and fine. I just have a good amount of hair. But if you have that same texture but less hair, you might want to do this part. So you just take a comb, you're gonna tease up right at the base like this. And this is actually a big section. You could take a much smaller section, but basically you're creating more friction so that this has something to hold on to. Then same thing, it's still worth it to make a clean part line. Then you start right at the base, clip it in, stretch it back, clip it in, and you'll feel a lot more security when you're clipping that down. If that still doesn't work, I have one more tip for you. Use a dry texture spray or a dry shampoo. Don't love hairspray just because I don't love what that feels like against my scalp later on, but a dry texture spray works great. So do the same process you did with teasing your hair a little bit, and then take your dry texture spray, this one's from Unite, and just do a quick spritz at the base. Make sure you let it dry a little bit. It might even be better to spray the underside of it, and then tease, and then clip. Well, backwards, and then clip it this way. I will tell you that most people, when they're having issues with placing clip-ins though, it more has to do with this parting and not starting their combing in before they clip right at that part line. They're starting it lower and they just already have too much slack in there, and those little things really matter. So make sure you start right at the part line with your comb, then go down, same thing right at the part line, then clip it in. Then when you're doing your next section, I don't love putting these all on the same row per se. I like to stagger them or place them above each other. You can brick lay them, which means that they're not all perfectly lined up. They're kind of staggered and they're sitting like this on your scalp. But these singles really are awesome because you can place them just about anywhere just to fill in. These make a huge difference to fill in your weight in the front and or blend extensions a little bit better. Like all I put in was 2 pieces and I already have so much more fullness on this side. If I were to match that, it's like I didn't even lose my fronts once upon a time. So I hope those tips helped. If you're still struggling, you can always send me a video of you placing your clips in your hair and I can see what helps. But basically your hair is slippery if you're struggling. And depending on your texture, it just might always be that way. So we need to give your hair some grit so the clip has something to hold on to. These combs are very flat and this grooved comb grabs the hair really well. There is a little bit of silicone on the base. So all those things help with gripping, and they're very flat so they're not heavy. And one last tip I did want to show you is if you are going to be placing these to put your hair up, because you definitely can, I wouldn't recommend placing them horizontal like this. Do yourself a favor and create a section that's gonna help you with your style. So let's say I'm gonna be pulling all these back into a ponytail. I'm not gonna clip it here. It's going to ultimately be going, how are we doing this? Going back. So if you know that you're gonna be clipping it or pulling your hair completely back in a ponytail, still pull your hair up in a clean part, but now my angle is going this way because I know I'm gonna be pulling it back, and at least that will give me a lot less tension and make it easier when I do this. See how this already is going in the direction that I'm gonna need it to? Because the whole point for us to do clip-ins and not something permanent is we're trying to relieve tension off of our hair. So I want you to be able to pull your hair back, pull it half up, but it really makes a big difference if you're gonna place these in a way that's helping that style or you're working against it. So there's my tip. Again, if you have any more questions, I think the best is to just send me a video of you placing them and I can always help you, but these really are so easy. There's just a learning curve when you're using a new type of product. But I love them. They're great for on the go, just fill in. I don't wanna put in a full head of hair with a halo. I just want something really quick. So give them a try because I've been really happy with them.